Hello again, thank you for joining me, Internet, for another video for my pregnancy blog. Today my wife starts week 33, and so it gets closer and closer to the due date. Getting really excited now. My wife is literally just about a month and a half away from giving birth, so it's getting close. So the big highlight of this week was going to do a 3D ultrasound, which was actually kind of cool, except for the fact that it didn't quite work. So we got to the ultrasound and everything checked out normal and okay, but when we swapped from the traditional ultrasound picture to the 3D ultrasound picture, we found that Katie had her hands in front of her face for like the entire time, and so we couldn't see anything. We could barely make out like a nose or something like that, but you could barely detect a face, and it was kind of a bummer. But I mean, I will admit it's kind of interesting that she had her hands like right there next to her face while she was asleep, because, well, that's how I sleep. I normally sleep with my hands like to my side or behind my head, something like that. Very rarely do I have my hands just like down to the side or something like that. They always have to be tucked in, and so I don't know if it's because Katie's copying my style or if it's just because she's so cramped right now that everything's just kind of stuck in front. But either way, didn't really get to see anything 3D-ish. I probably should have tried for something a bit earlier, but I mean, me starting a new job, scheduling conflicts came up, so it wasn't exactly the easiest thing to do. But I mean, we could still try later. We still have one more ultrasound to do just to make sure that Catelyn is in the proper birthing position and that everything else is measuring out a-okay. And the ultrasound technician said that perhaps we could get a small 3D ultrasound blip right there, maybe. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm not too disappointed. We'll get to see Catelyn when she's born anyway. But yeah, it's kind of a small bummer that it didn't work out like we thought. One thing we did find out from the ultrasound, though, is that Catelyn is starting to grow little bits of hair. I'm not, like I said, can't really see much of the picture, so I am not quite sure, but the ultrasound technician, just doing the normal, black and white picture, was able to point out to us like different white lines that indicate hair growth, apparently. So we just may have a hairy baby. That's going to be kind of interesting. And of course, to make it even more interesting, the fact that my wife has like destroyed the notion of the old wives' tale saying that having super ooper duper amounts of heartburn means hairy baby. I mean, she's had a little bit, but I mean, it's not been too bad. It kind of depends on how much she eats and what she eats and all that. But yeah, she hasn't had too much, and yet apparently we're gonna have a hairy baby. Of course, we can't tell how much hair yet. There's still a few more weeks left of growth, but I mean, we just may destroy yet another old wives' tale notion about pregnancy. So, like I've said in past videos, don't trust any of those because, yeah, they don't work. They don't work at all. I've made so many bets about how our baby's going to turn out based on these, stereotypes and, supposed trends that you see, and yeah, none of it's worked. And I've lost countless bets. So, other than that, everything else pretty much is going along normally. My wife is starting to get really uncomfy with just how big she's getting. I guess one of the interesting things too is people still say that she's small or not showing, for considering how late in pregnancy she is, and well, maybe it's just because I get to see more of the actual picture, but I've noticed that her belly is not so much outwards; it's more elongated. Like I can see like a pregnancy bump all the way from like mid chest all the way down. It's not like just in the middle of the belly where the pregnancy bump sticks out. Like she's got like a full 2 feet worth of bump, and so it just doesn't look nearly as big. But in a way that's kind of advantageous, because I mean she can fit into certain clothes a little bit better because it's easier to stretch it over that not so stick out bump. Of course, the big disadvantage is that it's just distributed all over, and she's finding it really hard to sleep with all that with all that bump. She's constantly uncomfortable at night now. She can't find a good position to sleep in, and she's getting really tired. Get it? She's getting really tired of sleeping on her left side. She never was a side sleeper before pregnancy. She was always like a back sleeper or a stomach sleeper. And well, of course, you can't do that now at this stage of pregnancy, so she's been trying to get used to sleeping on her left side for, ever since the first trimester. She's just done with it now. She doesn't like it. She does have one of those body pillows which helps sleep on the left side, but she still doesn't like it. I know when I usually get up in the morning to go to work, she'll still roll over into my position on her back and just sprawl out because she's so uncomfy. And then having rolled over on her back, she'll wake up a few minutes later and just be absolutely sore and just absolutely hates how it feels. And yeah, she's always got a sore back now, just especially as her center of gravity continues to go forward. And yeah, it's kind of a bummer that she's got to deal with this uncomfy sleep pattern for the next 7 weeks-ish. And because she doesn't really get into a good sleeping position, she's usually tired a good chunk of the time. Not so much sleepy, but she is definitely worn out of energy. I mean, part of it too is that she's pregnant, and that's taking up a lot of her energy anyways, but just the fact that she can't get a good position to sleep in. Not to mention the baby still kicks her awake every once in a while, which, again, probably my fault. But, yeah, so she's tired on a normal basis, and I can kind of see it. There are times where she's just like, I just don't want to do anything because she's just so worn out, which I can understand. I can understand that completely. So I do what I can, try to do more, but, being out at work a lot, sometimes that's easier said than done. I kind of feel bad that this tiredness is not going to go away anytime soon because, of course, after giving birth and gotta stay awake with a baby every once in a while, we'll probably swap off. I hear shift sleeping is pretty useful, but I mean, even then, I understand that we're pretty much destined to be tired for the next 20 years of our life, at least. Because if we have more kids after this, just 20 years from the last kid, we're just forever going to be tired. It's a good thing I can function off a little sleep. So I personally can live off about 6.5 to 7 hours of sleep. That's my ideal. I don't like to sleep longer than that. And so I feel that's going to be very advantageous in these next few weeks when we have to wake up every now and again to a crying baby that's hungry. But of course, we'll see how all that goes. I'm sure it still won't be easy. Well, that should be it for this week. Thank you once again for joining me for this pregnancy blog. As always, feel free to share this video or any of the other videos with people that you think might gain some useful insights from this. And feel free as well to ask any questions or make any comments down below. I'm more than happy to respond to you guys and would love to interact with you. But in the meantime, stay awesome, Internet. I hope to see you next week for another video.